Hello, my name is David Winch. I'm a forensic accountant with Bartfield's Forensic Accountants. And today we are going to look at what I think is a fairly simple and straightforward topic. I hope you will too by the time we've got to the end. The topic is the defendant who is subject to multiple confiscation orders. So the agenda. First of all, we're going to describe the situation and the problem. Then what I've called the 4 rules to guide us through how we deal with this problem. One, benefit previously found in previous confiscation proceedings, but not previously ordered to be paid. How do we deal with that? Second, the implications for the relevant day, so-called, under the statutory assumptions. Thirdly, the property held after conviction assumption. And fourthly, we're going to talk about the current available amount and the implications for that of outstanding amounts on earlier orders. We're assuming here, for the first part at least, that this individual has been subject previously to a criminal lifestyle confiscation order, and is now again subject to a criminal lifestyle confiscation order. And then towards the end of the session, we'll talk about what changes if that is not the case, if we're not dealing with 2 criminal lifestyle confiscation orders. We'll talk a little bit about the implications for Section 22 revisits. And then, as I've said, we'll talk about what if the confiscation is not a criminal lifestyle one. What are the rules then? And you'll find them, I hope, fairly straightforward. And finally, a little roundup about how Bartfield's Forensic Accountants can help you. Okay, let's get going. So the situation and the problem. The situation is that this same defendant is now subject to a criminal lifestyle confiscation proceedings, and this is the second or third or fourth or fifth occasion on which he has been subject to criminal lifestyle confiscation. So what we're talking about is somebody who's had a bit of a career in crime and has been convicted and through the courts and through the Crown Court on more than one occasion. What's the problem? Well, the problem is that there is a risk of the same benefit being included twice in 2 different confiscation orders, or the same amount being included twice, or alternatively that some benefit will fall through the cracks and be overlooked altogether, neither of which will be entirely satisfactory. So how does the legislation address that? There is in fact a logic to the legislation in the Proceeds of Crime Act, which anticipated this issue. And once you understand the logic, everything else flows from that. It's pretty straightforward. If you know what you're doing, it's simple. If you don't know what you're doing, it can seem rather confusing and difficult. So let's get to a situation where we know what we're doing. Right, benefit previously found in a previous confiscation hearing, but which the defendant has not previously been ordered to pay. As I say, it's simple. We're actually going to look at 2 or 3 worked examples as we get towards the end, which hopefully will drive the points home. But the situation is this, that criminal lifestyle confiscation is a lifetime confiscation. It works on a running total basis throughout the defendant's life. So where benefit has previously been found in relation to a defendant, that benefit is on his clock and remains on his clock. And so it is going to be benefit again in the latest confiscation proceedings. So in your Section 16 statement, what you should have is you will have benefit of the particular offences of which he's been convicted this time. You will have benefit under the Section 10 assumptions, and you will also have benefit that was found in previous confiscation proceedings that will be added into the total benefit to be considered by the court this time. But as I said, the problem then is going to be duplication. So what do? Well, it's simple. We then deduct from that total of benefit the amount which he has previously been ordered to pay. Not the amount of the benefit previously found, but the amount of that benefit which he has been ordered to pay, which of course might be limited because of his available amount at the time. So we deduct that off. And so the benefit that we are bringing into his new criminal lifestyle confiscation is the benefit previously found, which he has not previously been ordered to pay. So we're going to deal with it this time. And from a prosecutor's point of view, it's kind of a gift, isn't it? Because there's no way that the defendant can object to that benefit apart from appealing the earlier confiscation order, because that benefit has been found by the court. So it drops into benefit this time, and there's really nothing he can do about it. Right, the relevant day. Again, simple when you know. The relevant day in a subsequent confiscation order is calculated absolutely as normal. So you're going back 6 years from the date of charge. In most cases, the date of charge is the date which triggers it, and you go back 6 years from there. But the relevant day in this new confiscation proceedings for the statutory assumptions cannot be earlier than the date of the most recent previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order. So if he was subject to a confiscation order 4 years ago today, then the relevant day, instead of being 6 years prior to date of charge, is going to be that day when the previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order was made. And of course, when that order was made, in theory at least, the court took into account all benefit arising up to the day it made the order. The assumptions applied to that period up to the day that the order was made. And then if the relevant day in the new proceedings is that day, then the assumptions apply to what happens after the relevant day, don't they? So they start the day after that previous confiscation order was made. So you've got a complete period. The assumptions are applying to a complete continuous period right through. And of course, the assumptions are not applying to any overlapping period. You're not getting some assumed benefit on a particular date appearing twice, both in the previous confiscation proceedings and in these confiscation proceedings. Okay, so there's a logic to it. It all makes sense. It's a running total operation. What about property held after the date of conviction? Well, here again, what we're trying to do is to avoid a duplication of benefit. Now, the way that the statute does it isn't entirely going to work in every case, but this is what it does. Where you've got property which is currently held and which was also held after the date of the previous conviction in the previous confiscation proceedings, and the relevant day is calculated using that rule we've just mentioned. So we're not going back the full 6 years, where we've got a shorter period because of a fairly recent criminal lifestyle confiscation previously. Then the rule is that the property which was included in assumed benefit last time cannot be included in assumed benefit again this time. Again, there's a logic to that. It avoids the duplication. So in my own case, I've got a property I own, which I purchased in the 1970s, and I've still got it. So if I'd been subject to a criminal lifestyle confiscation, say 5 years ago, then that would have been property held since the date of conviction. If I'm again today subject to a new criminal lifestyle confiscation, then that same property is again property held after the date of conviction. but it can't be included in benefit twice because of the duplication. So the rule is that that property is excluded from the operation of that assumption, the property held assumption, on the second occasion. Okay, so as I say, we don't get it in twice. It all, I hope, makes some sort of logic and sense. What about the current available amount? Now, this is something that is sometimes overlooked, and that is that where you have an outstanding amount under an old confiscation order, then that is a liability which has to be deducted in calculating the defendant's available amount today. Because otherwise, he could be chased, couldn't he, for the outstanding amount on the old confiscation order. He could also be chased for his available amount today under a new confiscation order. He's getting chased twice based on the same asset. So that's the logic behind that. So where there is an amount which has been ordered to be paid in a previous confiscation and is outstanding, that amount has to be deducted in arriving at the defendant's current available amount. All through here, I've put some references on the slides to section numbers so that you can look back and quote them if you need to. And of course, unpaid interest is treated as part of the order. So if there's outstanding amount plus interest, that has to be deducted in arriving at his current available amount. Okay, so let's take an example. Let's assume Brenda here is somebody who has been subject to criminal lifestyle confiscations twice in the space of a few years. How does that work? Right, well, Brenda was subject to a criminal lifestyle confiscation order on the 8th of March 2017. And at that time, her benefit was £400,000 and her available amount was £30,000 and she was ordered to pay £30,000. Fairly standard order. I think that makes a lot of sense to everybody. Brenda has only paid £20,000 under that order. So she still owes £10,000 under the 2017 confiscation order. And to make this a bit simpler, we're ignoring interest. Today, Brenda, having committed further crimes, is subject to a new criminal lifestyle confiscation order. She was charged on the 16th of January 2019 with the offences that are the basis of this new confiscation order that's going to be made today. The relevant day, well, the relevant day normally would be the 17th of January 2013, wouldn't it? 6 years prior to the 16th of January 2019. But the relevant day cannot be earlier than the date of the previous confiscation order. So the relevant day here is going to be the 8th of March 2017, the date of her last previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order. The benefit arising in these new confiscation proceedings is £200,000. And Brenda has got very simple financial affairs, thank goodness. She's got £70,000 sitting in her bank account. She's no other assets at all. She's made no tainted gifts. It's all straightforward. So obviously, if there were no previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order against Brenda, then we'd simply have her having a benefit of 200,000, assets of 70,000. She'd be ordered to pay £70,000, and that'd be the end of it. But because of this previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order, that's not going to be how this one is going to play out. How is it going to work out for Brenda then? What is her benefit? Well, we can see, can't we, that there's £370,000 that she's not been ordered to pay in relation to the £400,000 of earlier benefit. She was ordered to pay £30,000. There's £370,000 she's not been ordered to pay. So that's going to feature in the new confiscation. So how does it work? Well, Brenda's benefit in the new confiscation is going to be £570,000, which is £200,000 new benefit, if you like, plus the £400,000 found previously, less the £30,000 she was previously ordered to pay. So that £370,000 of earlier benefit is dropping into this new confiscation order and is added to the £200,000 of new benefit to make £570,000 of benefit in the latest order. And her available amount, well, she's got £70,000 in the bank, but she still owes £10,000 on the old confiscation order. So that £10,000 has got to be taken off. Available amount is £60,000, and she's going to be ordered to pay £60,000 under this new confiscation order. So the latest confiscation order is going to say benefit £570,000, available amount £60,000, amount to pay £60,000. And of course, she can still be chased for the £10,000 which she owes on the old order. Okay, hopefully that all makes sense. We can see how that's going to work for Brenda, or perhaps I should say against Brenda, in the new confiscation proceedings. What about where the new confiscation order is, again, a second criminal lifestyle order, but there's more than 6 years between the two orders, so that what we said about the relevant day isn't going to be affected? Let's see how that works. Right, so in the later confiscation, the relevant day cannot be earlier, we've said, than the day on which the latest previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order was made. But actually, that's going to not matter, because it wasn't going to be anyway, because these are more years apart. Transfers received and expenditure incurred assumptions apply from the day after the relevant day, as always. The property held assumption, again, we've still got the possibility that property might be held now, which was also property held then and was caught by the assumptions back then. So the property held assumption will not apply to property held on the day on which the latest previous criminal lifestyle confiscation order was made. The total benefit in the latest confiscation order will, of course, include the benefit found in the previous confiscation order, because it's a lifetime thing, isn't it? Somebody's benefit of general criminal conduct is all their benefit of general criminal conduct since the day they were born. Benefit that's been found previously by a court is going to feature in the latest criminal lifestyle confiscation order. But again, we've got this deduction of amounts previously ordered to be paid under those earlier orders. So if we get all that correct, there really shouldn't be any problem of duplication or omission if all the confiscation orders are done correctly. What about available amount? Well, in each case, the available amount, of course, is the available amount today on a calculation made of the defendant's position on the day the confiscation order is made. And again, if on that day there are amounts outstanding in respect of earlier confiscation orders, then they're going to have to be deducted from the available amount. When I say amounts outstanding, I mean amounts which the defendant has been ordered to pay previously and has not yet paid, because he's still liable to pay those, and they're going to be deducted from his available amount this time, and he's going to be chased under the old orders for those. Okay, that's the situation we've covered with criminal lifestyle confiscation orders. What about where one of the orders is not a criminal lifestyle confiscation order? So the statutory assumptions don't kick in. We're just looking at a particular benefit, the benefit of the conduct of which the defendant has been convicted. So in each case, as I've said, the benefit is going to be based on the offences of which he's been convicted this time, including offences taken into consideration in sentencing. And each confiscation order, if they're all particular benefit confiscation orders, each of them stands on their own. They don't bring in the benefit from previous confiscation orders. Each of them is quite separate. And so there shouldn't really be any problems with duplication or omission. We're not dealing with the statutory assumptions, so there aren't any issues there. In terms of available amount, it's just the same. The available amount is calculated on a calculation made of the defendant's position on the day. And of course, if he still has an outstanding amount in relation to an earlier confiscation order, an amount which he's been ordered to pay in relation to an earlier confiscation order and has not paid, then that's going to be a deduction from his available amount this time, so that he can still be chased for that under the old order, and his available amount is reduced by that liability. So should be straightforward. Let's just take an example to round the point home. Alan is subject to confiscation order on the 8th of March 2017. His benefit is £40,000. His available amount was £3,000. He was ordered to pay £3,000. He's only paid £2,000. So there's still £1,000 owing under that order from 2017. Today, Alan is subject to a new particular benefit confiscation order. His benefit under this one is £20,000. He has £7,000 in a bank account, no other assets. He's made no tainted gifts. So it's quite straightforward. Alan's benefit in the new order is going to be £20,000. His available amount today is £6,000, not £7,000, because he still has £1,000 to pay under the 2017 order. So he will be ordered to pay £6,000 under the confiscation order made today. And of course, he still has £1,000 to pay under the old confiscation order. What about Section 22? We're all familiar with Section 22 revisits. They can be a bit complicated. They can be somewhat misunderstood. Let's look at the situation where somebody has repeatedly had criminal lifestyle confiscation orders made against them. What ought to happen is this: because the criminal lifestyle confiscation works on a running total for life, the latest criminal lifestyle order should have incorporated all the defendant's benefit, which he's not previously been ordered to pay. So it would be wrong, wouldn't it, to try and get an uplift on an old confiscation order when you've included that benefit in his new confiscation order. What you need to do is to pursue him under the new confiscation order. So there would be an inherent injustice in pursuing Section 22 applications under any earlier orders if the latest criminal lifestyle confiscation order has been made properly and includes all that benefit, because it includes his running total. What about somebody who's got repeated particular benefit confiscation orders, so not criminal lifestyle orders? Well, each order exists independently, and there would be no inherent injustice in pursuing Section 22 applications simultaneously under old orders and new orders, because you're talking about different benefit in those orders. You're not duplicating anything. And that's it. How can we help? Well, just a reminder, Bartfield's Forensic Accountants is actually part of the Sedulo family of companies, which offer a full range of accounting and financial services for businesses and individuals. We undertake legally aided and privately funded criminal and civil forensic accountancy work, and we have a team of experienced and highly trained forensic accountants, analysts, and support staff using the latest software and hardware IT facilities. We operate from offices in Leeds, in Manchester. We've just opened in Liverpool, and of course we have an office in London as well. You can find more on this topic on our website, and this webinar will be, a recording of it will be put on the website in a few days' time. The link for it is there. In any event, we'll send you, we'll email you and link to a free recording of this webinar. If you have any questions, do contact me. The best way to contact me is by email, because then I can look carefully at what your question is, give it some thought, and come back to you with a considered response rather than just a knee-jerk, off the cuff idea based on perhaps an incomplete set of facts and information. So do email me with any questions. The email address is there. The phone number is there as well if you wish to speak on the phone. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found this useful, and we will see you again soon. Thank you. Bye for now.